Welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. We have added even more pets to our ever-growing menagerie. I added the sheep not that long ago, and now we have a duck. It sounds a little weird because they're just like general ducks, just out in the paddocks on the dams, but this is a particular kind of duck. She is a khaki Campbell, so very different to the wild ducks that are out in the paddock. And she came to us via some friends who are moving house and are no longer able to keep pets in their new location. So we have 4 chickens, which easily just blend in with the rest of our flock, and Raymond the duck. Now, Raymond is a girl. We already have a goat called Warren, who's a girl. We don't question names here. We just go with the flow. So she has been raised with the chooks, so she's completely comfortable being in and around them. So it's just continuing that for her, but with a much larger flock than she is used to. We have a clam pool in with the chickens now, which is her little spot to splash and enjoy the water. And then she just hangs out with the chooks and she sleeps in one of the nesting boxes at night. She just goes in and roosts just like all the chickens. So she is fitting in really well. I think, honestly, she thinks she is a chook that just happens to go for a swim. The weather has really heated up this week after I said that summer was here in terms of what was happening around the farm. The heat has certainly kicked in. But then we're getting horrible storms in the evenings. So it's humid. My hair's disgusting and feels all that humidity, which is horrible. And I'm not a really hot weather person. So already I'm finding it really uncomfortable. So with that changeability in the weather, I haven't mowed out here and it's starting to look like an absolute jungle. I'm just going to have to do a little bit at a time now, I think, and just try and get my way into it to try and get it down. Still no time frame on getting the mower. We've got a shipment notice, but it has just stopped at being created, and so no delivery date on our ride-on yet. So the warm weather is also a good indicator of when to start doing blackberry and other weed spraying. So we got out on the Hilux this week. Mum and I, we spent an hour or so focusing on just one paddock, and we did all of the broom in that paddock, which is a weed in this area. And we also went back and looked at all of the little spots of blackberries and tried to spray all of them as well. We focused on the paddock that we had done the most work in terms of the blackberries, so there wasn't too many in there. I drove and Mum was out with the spray unit, just going really, really slowly and trying to spot everything as we went. And I was driving through some of the old blackberry canes that had been killed last season just to get them down, and then we were able to see any small shoots that had come up and spray those. So hopefully we will be able to manage that paddock now and just do little spot spraying like we did this time, and just manage the spread from birds dropping seeds rather than being big, huge clumps that we have to tackle with a big spray unit that we can borrow from Landcare. We will hopefully be able to do that again later this year or early next year. Over in the bush particularly, there's a few spots that are really still quite infested with blackberries, but in the paddocks, we'll probably just use the Hilux and the smaller tank and just slowly drive around and see what we can find, to just do little spot sprays to just clear up the bits that we either didn't get to last year or have come up since. Can you believe it? Hurley is 2 months old now. Time has absolutely flown. It just wasn't that long ago that he was a tiny little lamb who could hardly even suck on the bottle, was so small and helpless. And now he is so much bigger and he's out grazing in the paddock all day. And I think really soon it'll be at night as well. Him and Evie and Vito are so much bigger now. That green shed is starting to feel very small for them. They still cope fine at night. They're happy to go inside, and it is a good shelter for them, but they are getting big. So my next thing to do is to buy a fox light. I've been looking at those. We use that for the chickens, and it seems to keep the foxes away pretty much. It is a flashing light that's on a randomized system of colors and different flashes, which is supposed to replicate someone being out with a torch. And it is able to scare away predators like foxes because they think that there is a person out there and they don't like to have like a light shine on them. So that will be what I put into the paddock with the sheep as a protector for them. And then a few more weeks, and I might be at a point where they are ready to be out at night. I will still have to go out there in the evening, I think, and sort of say hello to them again and maybe give them some grain in their shelter, just because I've noticed that they are getting very much into the routine of me coming down at dusk to take them to the shed. They sit at the gate, all three of them, and just wait, and they just chew on their cud and they sit there and they wait for me. And then as soon as I get close, they all get up and get all excited. So I think I'll have to create a new routine for them when I go into the paddock, spend some time with them, and then they know that that's where they're going to stay. I also did a little more house organization. I had a butcher's block near the front door, which I had a couple of shelves underneath for storing things, and then just like a flat surface on top. And I was finding that I had hats and coats and I didn't have anywhere to hang them. I was hanging it on like a divider thing or on the back of a chair or just putting it like in the shower when it was wet. So I found a really cheap entrance hall hanging system from Kmart, and I put it together this week, and it's been a few days now, and I'm really liking how it's turned out. There's enough space underneath to put shoes, so when I come in, I can take my shoes off and put them underneath. It's got a shelf, um, so I'm going to put a few things under there, and then a flat surface for like my basket of masks and my keys, and a few other things that I need to sort of grab quickly, like a torch. And then it's got 6 hooks across the top so I can put a jacket and my hat and my handbag when I come into the house. I just need to make sure that I don't fill it with too much stuff so that it doesn't become a cluttered mess. I want it to be a nice organized space so that I can easily get to those things that are sort of the in and out things to get ready to go or when I come back inside. Last week, I showed you that I'd cast on a new pair of socks. I was doing one at a time. I have completely finished sock number one. I just kept knitting until I ran out of yarn. And I didn't even bother doing ribbing on this one. I just kept going and then just bound off. So that's that one. And I've already been zooming through the second one as well. It's amazing what you can do when you don't have any secret knitting on your needles. So I think I'm just about at the point to put in the heel. I'm not counting rows. I'm just going to put this up against, yeah, look, that's about right. And then just pop in the heel when they look about the same, which it looks like it could be about now. They're for me, so I don't really care if they're a little bit off. If I was making them for someone else, I would either count rows or do them 2 at a time so that I was 100% sure that they were exactly the same. But because they're for me and I was just enjoying the quick nature of doing one at a time, I decided to do it this way and not bother with counting so that I didn't have to do any concentration at all. Speaking of secret projects, I can now share with you what I had been knitting on and also another crafting project that was also a secret as well.
This is me from the past telling you about that secret project that I have been working on for a few weeks. It was for Sebastian's birthday. He really loves golf. He's been playing golf every Saturday, and I thought that it would be good to knit him some covers for his golf clubs. So I'm using the Hit to 2, which is from Hobby, and I chose 3 colors. a bright orange, a sort of a dusty pinkish purple, and a green, just because I thought that they were a fun combination to sort of work together. And I've done 4 of them, so I have been busy knitting even though you guys haven't seen any of that. So I did one with just an orange stripe, and then I did another set that would with some color work on it, which is fairly basic. It's just one of each color just across each row and just alternated. So he has 4, and then I've said to him that if he would like some more, I can make more for him once he's sort of figured out which clubs he wants to put them on. This pattern I adapted from an old Peyton's book. It was knit flat and I converted it to knitting in the round, and then I added in my own stripes and colour where I felt like it. So if I knit any more for him, I'll just do some variations on the pattern so that he's able to tell which club is which. And the other secret project, which not knitting but still craft, is that I did a piece of art for Sebastian for his graduation. And this is going to go into a frame, and Deb is going to put some wording over the top that was part of a video recording that was done for the grade 6 graduation.
And here is the final version of the artwork with the wording over the top that Deb had done on her cricket. It is a quote out of a book that was part of Sebastian's graduation ceremony that Deb and Adam said as part of a big video of the whole book. So that was a special gift that Sebastian was given for his graduation. While I'm talking about painting, I went to Spotlight the other day and I bought myself a few canvases. They are 18 by 24. So they're a reasonable size. And they were only $10, which is pretty cheap, I thought. So I've got 3 of these. And I think I'm going to just experiment with some different colors and some styles because I do want to do a bit more art for my place to put up on the walls. So with these, I can just have a bit of a play, and they're here now for when I have an opportunity to do some painting. I also was able to grab some more paint from Bunnings. I'd bought a little set online from Bunnings during lockdown of a particular brand, which is Boyle. I had a look in the store just the other day and I was able to find like a bargain bin. So they had these big tubes for only $2. I've got a couple of the white because you can like use them to create your own colors. I got an orange, an English rose, a rose, and a marine blue, and a brilliant violet. I was hoping to be able to get a bigger tube of the silver that I've been using because it really comes up looking really cool to combine the silver in with the colors, but I wasn't able to find those. But these were super cheap. So I'm really excited if and some of them even came up as $1. So if I'd known that, I probably would have grabbed even more. But yeah, this is now plenty of paint to start to do some more experimenting along with small tubes of color that I already have. So I'm excited to get stuck into that at some point. And one more knitting project. I had made a bit more progress on my yellow brick rodeo. I'm knitting it out of the Highland Handmaids Light Me Up and the Hobby Unicorn Solid Beautiful Pink. I am now on a slightly bigger cord. I'm getting into some of the increases for the yoke. I think I've got about 10 or so rows to go of the pattern with the yoke, and then I'll put it onto a big cable and I will check to make sure that I've got the right arm depth. I often have to modify patterns to give myself a little bit more room through here. So if that's the case, I will sort of increase up to the next size for this part and then decrease back down for the body. So there might be a little bit of playing around with the numbers just to see how I go. And it's hard to tell how big it really is when you're on a cable like this. So I'll put it onto a much longer one and properly try it on. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.